Now, here in the newsroom of Bixpo 2018, here I am sitting with David Rogers, professor of Columbia Business School. Thank you for joining us here today.
Very happy to be here with you.
It's an honor. So, is it your first time here in this expo?
It is, so it's really exciting to be here at Bixpo. My first time in Gwangju, but
Really?
It's always good to be back in Korea.
So, did you have a chance to go around and check out all the booths of the exhibitions?
I did. Well, there's so many booths. I didn't see all of them, but I saw a number of them from a range of the different kinds of companies. Really, all over the world. It's really impressive to see the range of businesses in the energy sector are all here in Gwangju today and this week for this event.
Indeed, indeed. Was there any eye-catching booth or exhibits or any area that you were interested in?
For me, it was just a learning opportunity to see the whole range of different technologies and everything from physical technologies like drones that are being applied to different purposes and maintenance to much more data-centric systems and sort of all the different levels of the value chain in the energy industry that have to come together, and where it's really about innovation happening at all these different levels that is going to really solve the problems that were set forth by the chairman of KEPCO at the beginning of the conference, and the opportunities that really every society is facing in the post-Paris Accord era, and as we look towards the digital future for energy.
Indeed. Well, I was noted that you gave a keynote speech under the topic, digital transformation and the future of energy industry. Quite a hard topic, but can you give a glimpse about your speech?
Sure. So, my work at Columbia and working with companies around the world is trying to understand how do existing companies that grew to scale and organizations that grew to scale in the pre-digital era, how do they adapt, right? How do those kinds of businesses, it's not about how do we create a startup, but how do you take these existing vital, important companies and how do they evolve to reach their next stage of growth and value and importance in this digital economy? So that was what I was really trying to share, some lessons that I distilled, looking at how we fundamentally, I would say, have to think differently about our businesses. It's very much about mindset and about leadership and about strategy, not so much about the technology, which is, of course, essential, but I find not the hardest part. It's learning to reimagine our businesses and what the future of them will look like and how we have to organize ourselves differently to really create the value that the world is going to need from all of us.
It seems quite hard for me to follow, but what aspects do you think Korea is standing in the future of the energy industry?
Well, Korea is in a great position because, for one thing, as the energy industry becomes much more digitally driven, Korea has been very involved in a lot of innovation and a lot of leading companies in sort of digital technology. It's one of the most connected in terms of connectivity measures country. I think it's number 1 or 2 in the whole world, and that's been indicative of a lot of innovation in the country. I think what I see here is that Korea not only has a very strong domestic energy industry built to serve the growing needs of obviously tremendous economic growth in the last few decades in Korea, but is now really in a great position, and you see this at Bixpo, to partner with. I was sitting at a table with folks from the government in Ukraine and from the Ministry of Energy in Ghana and all these other countries around the world that each have their own needs. Some of them, they have their own assets and capabilities. But Korea, I think, is really in a great position to not to do everything, but to add an element of innovation and value and knowledge and know-how to the energy sector across the world, and to become a really vital partner in many other markets.
Indeed, Korea has evolved very fast as well. And KEPCO is also aggressively investing in the new energy field as well. What do you think about their rapid investment?
I think that is exactly the kind of forward-looking, aggressive investments that you need in a sector like this. I mean, energy, frankly, compared with some other industries, has been one that many of the traditional players have been a little slower to move, because they say, well, we're an industry that doesn't change as quickly as media or technology or consumer goods. And I think that's missing the actual level of transformation that's happening in the world of business today. So I think it's great to see companies like KEPCO that really understand these kind of, you need to be investing both in the near-term opportunities and also in these long-term, more fundamental shifts in your industry and the energy industry at large. And you need to be willing to place those bets and those investments in a lot of different places, because it's too early to tell which ones are going to become most important to the future of the energy sector, in 1 year versus 3 years versus 5 years. So you need to be sort of playing on all these playing fields, if you will. So it's great to see a company like KEPCO pursuing that kind of aggressive vision.
It's great to hear your aspects about that. Before we conclude, is there any opinions or comments that you want to make to our viewers of BIXCO 2018?
I would just say, I hope all of you who are at BIXPO really use this as an opportunity to connect with so many people. I mean, that's what I've seen in just the first day and a half here, is to meet with the people at the booths, meet with the people in the halls. I know the meetings and discussions that are going on. There's so many people here. There's so much knowledge, I think, thousands of people here from dozens of countries, that really that's the opportunity to seize, is make those new connections face to face. Those relationships are going to open up new doors and new business opportunities for next year and the year beyond. So make the most of it.
That's right. Thank you so much for sharing your valuable insights with us, and it was an honor to have you here.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been David Rogers, Professor of Columbia Business School. Thank you.